NodeRED is an open source platform and is a great way to augment your PLC controls and integrate them quickly with multiple platforms, allowing you to collect data and then pass it on to an SQL database, create dashboards for quick access on a web browser, and much, much more. In this video, we will show connecting a BRX PLC to NodeRED and then pass some data information to the NodeRED platform using MQTT communication. Then receive data back into the BRX PLC from NodeRED. How quick and easy it was to set this up surprised me. In a separate video that you can find in the description below, we will show creating a dashboard to display some of this data. For this example, I will be using NodeRED installed on a Raspberry Pi 4. In the description below, there is a link to NodeRED.org on how to set this up quickly. For this NodeRED setup, there are 6 parts to transferring data back and forth to NodeRED. So let's start in the BRX setup. I've already created this program, but I'll go over the parts that you will need to set up. To set up the MQTT client in BRX, enter your system configuration, select device configuration, and select to add a new device. And here is the client I've already set up. You'll need to give your device a name, enter in the IP address of your NodeRED setup, or if you're using a server name, you could put that here. There are a few things for a more advanced setup like MQTT-S for secure MQTT, enabling authentication, and last will. But for this example, I'll forego these. Now that you have the client set up, let's look at the data we'll be sending to NodeRED. Here I have a JSON build instruction. In this JSON message, it packs these 5 data points together and then loads it to a long string address that'll be sent to NodeRED. Now, one point that caught me here, on names like this, make sure to not use spaces. It will confuse NodeRED when you unpack it. And parallel to this JSON build, I've already entered in an MQT publish instruction that will send this long string that contains our JSON message to NodeRED. Enter in the MQTT client device we created before. Set the rate at which you want to send this data to NodeRED. Here, enter in the MQTT topic name you'll be sending this data to NodeRED. This will need to match exactly with what you set up in NodeRED. To make this a little bit easier, later on, I just copy and paste. Then the payload will be the JSON message we created above. I don't want to retain this data in the broker and have the data only publish if the data is changed. Now, since we're using seconds, of course, this is going to change every second. I also added a MQTT subscribe to read data back from NodeRED. Notice here that my topic is different from the publish. Once you have this set up, go ahead and send this to your PLC. Access your NodeRED setup, open up a web browser, and enter in the IP address of your NodeRED setup, and then :1880. Now with NodeRED, you could add on a lot of different things. If you'll notice here on the left-hand side, here's all the nodes that come pre-installed on NodeRED. We can add on to this. So for example, I am going to add on the MQTT broker to NodeRED. So it'll be acting as both my broker and the NodeRED setup. To do this, I select here, select Manage Palette, select Install, and then type in AEDES. This will be your MQTT broker. Now that you have that installed, if you'll look on the left-hand side in all of your nodes, under the network section, you'll see the AEDES broker. Just drag that into your workflow window. Now double-click on this node. This is the same port we had set up in our BRX MQTT client setup, and these do have to match. Now we enable the WebSocket by entering in a port number here. I will enter in 8080 and then select Done. And that's just how easy it is to install a MQTT broker to NodeRED. I found that very impressive. Now let's bring our MQTT message from BRX into our NodeRED. We'll do this by adding a MQTT in node and dragging it into our workspace. Double click it. Now I'm going to go back to my BRX, copy the topic message from our publish, and then paste that into my NodeRED setup. Make sure to remove the quotation marks here. To display the JSON message that will be sent into this MQTT in, we'll add a debug node and drag a line between the two nodes. I will then select to deploy the workflow, and to see the data, I'll need to enable the debug window. We can do that by selecting here, View, and Debug Messages. Now we see the JSON packet updating every second. This is just how easy it was to get the data from my BRX PLC to my NodeRED setup. Now let's send some data back to our BRX. We're going to add an MQTT out node, double click it, copy the topic from our MQTT subscribe in BRX and paste it here. Remember once again to remove the quotation marks. Select your quality of service, and I will select it to retain the data, and then select Done. Now I'm going to grab a inject node and add it to my workflow. By default, this is selected as timestamp. This will be good enough for us to see information coming back and forth. I will set this to inject the timestamp every second, and I'll leave that as it is and connect it to my MQTT out, and now we're going to just select to deploy it. So if we go back into our BRX and look at SL1 in our data view, we see this updating every second. So this is a very basic setup, but it allows you to see how you can pass information back and forth. Now there's a ton of NodeRED resources online that can show you much more advanced features and getting deeper into this. In our next video, we'll show how to create a quick and easy dashboard to start showing some of this data. And you can find the link to that here. If you'd like to see more information on the BRX PLC, please select here and subscribe to our YouTube channel for new products and solutions.